The whispering forest was unlike anything Amora had ever seen. The moment she stepped inside, the air grew thick and heavy. The trees were so tall they seemed to touch the sky, their twisted branches curling like claws. Strange glowing plants lit her path, pulsing faintly with each whisper that moved through the air. Amora's heart pounded, but she kept moving. "Kelechi," she called. Her voice echoed strangely, as though the forest itself was repeating her words. Then she heard it, the faint sound of a boy crying. It was distant, almost swallowed by the wind, but it was enough to push her forward. She hurried along the narrow path, each step sinking slightly into the damp earth. As she moved deeper, she noticed shadows shifting at the edge of her vision. They weren't people, but shapes made of smoke and darkness. They whispered her name, stretching long fingers of shadow toward her. Amora clenched her fist and pressed on, refusing to look back. Finally, she reached a clearing. At its center was a massive tree, its trunk wide as a house. From its back came a sound like sobbing, soft and heart-wrenching. The air around it shimmered with sorrow. Amora stepped closer, her voice steady. "Why are you crying?" The forest answered, not with words, but with visions. Images filled her mind, hunters cutting down trees, fire spreading across the undergrowth, children trampling plants. The forest had not always been this way. It had once been alive with beauty and peace, but it had been wounded by greed and carelessness. Tears stung Amora's eyes as she whispered, "You were hurt." The sobbing grew louder, echoing through the trees. She could almost feel the pain in her bones. Yet beneath the sorrow was something else, the faint sound of laughter. "Kelechi," she cried. She spun around, and there he was. The little boy stood at the edge of the clearing, his eyes wide with fear. He looked pale, as though the forest had drained his strength. "Amora," he shouted, running toward her. But before he could reach her, shadowy arms rose from the ground, wrapping around him. He cried out in fear as the forest tried to pull him back. Amora lunged forward, grabbing his hand. The shadows burned cold against her skin, but she held tight. "You will not take him," she shouted. The shadows hissed, but Amora's grip did not break. She pulled with all her strength until, at last, Kelechi stumbled free, collapsing into her arms. She hugged him tightly, her tears falling into his hair. "I've got you," she whispered. "I won't let go." The forest fell silent then. The sobbing stopped, and the whispers faded. All that remained was the sound of Amora's breathing and Kelechi's soft whimpering. But Amora knew this was not the end. The forest was still broken, still angry. And if she wanted to save not just Kelechi, but everyone else who had been lost, she would need to go deeper. Holding the boy's hand firmly, she looked into the endless trees ahead. The silent cry was only the beginning.